And we're live with Josh and Aaron. Talk about stuff. This is your host, Josh, with his great buddy. What's his name?
Aaron.
Hey,
Right.
Aaron, do you have a shillelagh?
Do I have a shillelagh?
Since you're
You know
Irish and
what?
stuff.
My dad actually did have one.
Do you ever use it?
No, we never used it. It was actually, but somebody had given him one, and he had it like on the fireplace as like a decoration. So
If
he
you
never
want me to,
shillelagh'd anybody with it.
he's like, if you're bad, you'll get the shillelagh.
Don't make me bring out the shillelagh, boys.
All right, I
So
got
we
to
actually we
go ahead.
traced our family. No, we traced our family. Quinn and I were curious one day, and so I know one family relative name from way back when. We were like able to trace the Hogan line to where we started in Dublin. It was kind of cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
All right, so before we get started, I read an article recently of something that happened that is starting to grab a hold in the music world. And the headline was Red Hot Chili Peppers sell their rights to their music for
Right.
over $100 million.
$140 million. I was going to ask you about that.
And I think the first big name to start it was Dylan. That was over 400 million.
Yeah, Dylan's catalog sold for a ton.
So there's this thing. So I guess that means we give you $140 million, and now we can sell. Like if you want to play this song now in a commercial, you owe the money to the company that now owns the rights to the song. So potentially the company will make way more than $140 million over the life of those songs.
So what does it do for the band? Like they can they still. I mean, they don't. So what are their rights?
Well, I think. They can still play them live and all that. It's the licensing of
utilizing them in like commercials and films.
Right. And it's generally the backlog stuff, because I'm sure with their new album they're making, they make a licensing deal or whatever, royalty deal with the record company. But like all their old stuff is now free to be made money off of with this company. So they're not going to get those royalties anymore, I guess.
Right.
I guess. But my question is, one, when you hear somebody say, hey, man, they sold out, what does that mean to you?
Okay.
What does that mean? And then, answer that question. What does it mean for a band to sell out?
For me, I mean, so I actually hate that term for one thing, because like people are like, oh, they sold out. What? Because they signed a deal with a so selling out. I think most people are like, oh, they sold out. They signed on with a major label, and it's like, what? Because they wanted to make money doing what they love, so they signed on with somebody who could help them do it. That's not selling out. That's being smart.
Yeah.
So to me, that's not selling out. But although I think of selling out more as purposefully changing your music to appeal to a wider audience.
Right.
That to me is like selling out, and I can think of artists who have done that, who's like, you changed your music here, not because you wanted to evolve, but because you wanted to hit the wider spectrum. That to me is selling out.
Gotcha. Yeah, I was just thinking like every artist that wants to play music and be in that world wants to make a living off of it.
You wouldn't be doing it otherwise.
I think if I understand, so like one of the ways that I guess artists can get their music out there is like, I guess, put it on Spotify, but the royalty percentage is like criminally low, I guess.
I'm sure.
And I saw people complaining about like, these established artists cashing in on their legacy, and it's really hard for non-famous musicians to get in the game. And I don't know if look, man, you can't fault Bob Dylan for being born when he did and being who he is, and then cashing his, does he even $400 million? I mean, I don't even know if he's made that much money his entire life.
Right. Like, I don't think of that as selling out. Yeah. Now here's the thing. If I was a musician of some degree of clout, and, I always have thought to myself that if I was someone who was producing art, it would be really hard for me to sell the rights to it for someone else to decide what to do with it. That's just me personally.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would say yes in the beginning of your career, for sure.
But even later on, and like I just can imagine myself later on in my life. If I was living a life where I was functionally like solid, didn't have to work. If I want to retire from music, it would be really hard for me to personally give up something I'd created to let someone
Mhm.
else do what they would with it, which I think is kind of how the Beastie Boys have always been. The Beastie Boys have been like, no one will ever touch our music for commercials, for anything, and that's just that. And nobody controls it but Ad Rock and Mike D,
Yep.
you know, and that's just that. And I think I would be very much along those lines, but I don't fault Dylan or the Peppers or I can't remember. So there's a few like really huge name artists that have done it. It's like, yeah, if you're cool with that personally, go for it. I don't, whatever.
I mean, because when a song is purchased, a good chunk of it goes to the record company, and you
Right.
get a percentage of the royalty. But like the Red Hot Chili Peppers getting $140 million up front right now is probably more money they'll make for the rest of their lives than
That's
of
true enough.
just selling. So anyway,
Right. No, it's a great question though.
yeah. All right, so
It's
we
funny
got
because I'd been thinking about the exact same thing.
yeah.
So when you ask, I'm like, oh my god, I just read that article. I wanted to ask you what you thought about that. So
Yep.
that's cool.
So we're going to talk about two things today.
They're linked.
Music talent shows, and then we're going to talk about MTV and its impact. All right, so
I think start with MTV and its impact because I think
Okay.
MTV really led. I think the thing of it is MTV was so impactful when it first came out. Like, like there was even the song by I don't remember who the band was. Video Killed the Radio Star.
That was the first video, the Buggles.
The Buggles, thank you. The Buggles. The Buggles did a song called Video Killed the Radio Star, but it did, like, in a way. Like, it got to a point in the late 80s and then through the 90s where it was one thing to have a good song, but you had to have a video. And that video could become just as poignant and iconic. I hate that word, but sometimes it's the one you have to use as the song itself. I mean, let's face it. I mean, we always go. I mean, we always swing around the same era and the same songs, but that's what we know and it's what we love. But I mean, that video for "Smells Like Teen Spirit," when that thing came on the air, it was just as much that video, which was so anti everything else that you were seeing on MTV, as the song itself. And so, videos, MTV really, they had so much power and influence through the 80s and 90s.
I was thinking, like, not everybody has access to buy records.
Right.
And so MTV gave people a chance to see artists that they liked.
Yeah, absolutely. And they would have like whole blocks dedicated to a style, Yo MTV Raps, and then they would have whole blocks dedicated to certain types of music.
What was it? It was something about the hairband power hour or ballad.
The hair power hour or something like that. Yeah, I remember that
something
one.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But fast forward to today, all MTV shows right now, because I've watched it for the last several months, is Ridiculousness, which is like a YouTube video show.
Oh, okay.
Adam Sandler movies and Teen Mom. There was a little snippet on a Saturday morning from like 7:45 to 8:15 that showed trending new hits, and that is all I have seen of a music video on MTV. So MTV is not MTV anymore.
That's sad because it was such a powerful part of the growth of music,
Yeah, it's crazy because, like, I remember, I guess the downfall of MTV really is when they started doing reality TV with the real world.
TV, which is why I said we should start with MTV when we're talking about this, because that, I think you're exactly right. When they put that first reality TV show on there, Real World, it was like, that's where MTV just went, nope, and here we go.
And I remember when I was in late high school, they had like Total Request Live with Carson Daly. Some of the videos, they wouldn't even show the whole song.
Right.
They wouldn't show the whole video, and it's like, man, MTV is just not MTV anymore. Like, they'll never change their name because of the brand, but like, they just show ridiculousness. Like, it's all this show and movies.
No, and it's like, what happened? Why did you? I mean, what happened in our culture that made them decide that, you know what, music is no longer what's cool? It's just like, no, music is always cool. Why did you stop this? And bands are still producing videos.
Well, yeah, you don't watch them there. You want,
YouTube.
Yeah.
And maybe that's in the end what happened. Maybe it was with the advent of YouTube and a lot of artists post their stuff on a site called Vivo.
It's part of YouTube.
It's okay. It is. I wasn't sure if it was a subsidiary of YouTube or whatnot. So they post their stuff on these sites, and so that's where all these videos are showing up now. Maybe that's where MTV just started moving away from it because it decided, well,
Yeah.
now it's like it's not. Now we're not the place for videos. Now
Well,
people just watch them online.
also you can go now with, of course, with YouTube, you can watch any music video whenever you want. On MTV, you had to wait for it.
Right.
I remember waiting and waiting and waiting, and I recorded the video for 9 Inch Nails, "A Perfect Drug."
Yeah.
And I missed the beginning of it because you never know, when it's coming on, and then
Right.
Maybe MTV didn't adapt, like Blockbuster didn't adapt when Netflix got its gun, and now there's only one left, and it's where you live. MTV could have made a platform.
People take their picture in front of it.
Yeah, MTV could have made a platform online digitally to show videos, but they didn't. And
I think MTV in a way is like it's kind of going the way of the radio station. Like, I mean, realistically, not many people tune in to just daily radio anymore.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, right. I mean, like, okay, I turned it on in one of my cars because I have an old car and the CD player died, so I haven't fixed the CD player yet. So I'm like, oh god, here we go, click. But that's like the only reason I turn a radio station on. Otherwise, I'm gonna put a playlist on one of the digital sites, or listen to what you want. So maybe that is what killed MTV.
So video killed the radio star, but then the internet killed the TV star.
Yeah, absolutely. And that leads us.
Well, real quick. Any iconic music videos from that you can think of that really people should just watch for the video itself?
Just for the video itself? I mean, there's so many over the course of. I mean, it's like I was watching things the other day just on music videos and like animated music videos, and then it was like just the iconic music videos from different eras.
Well, I'm just gonna name some for you since you're dodging the question. I'm kidding.
No, I'm kidding. I'm like, go ahead.
I don't like the song, but I think everyone agrees Peter Gabriel's "Sledgehammer" is
that's one of them.
Crazy video.
Sledgehammer is that is one of those videos. God, what?
I'm just gonna name some here. Genesis. Oh yeah, that one where they record it and then I don't know the technical term for it, but then they do the cartoon over it. Genesis, Land of Illusion, with the guy with the presidents in it. I'm gonna think
a Virgin.
I don't really know that video. I think she's in
she's in a church and it's all symbolic and religious and it offended people. It's fantastic.
I'm trying to think. Like, Smashing Pumpkins "Tonight" is a really cool video.
Thriller.
I was just gonna say Thriller with Michael Jackson is a really cool. That's like an extended video.
That's like a movie.
It is. Videos. You don't really get a lot from Pearl Jam because they did that single video theory.
And Do the Evolution, but man, those are two of my. Do the Evolution. Is my favorites.
Of course. Watch Smells Like Teen Spirit. We're talking about. I think they filmed that one in a day.
Yeah, they did.
If that,
November Rain.
Yeah, that's pretty iconic with Slash on the piano.
Or in front of the tiny church.
The tiny church, and the tiny church.
The tiny church.
But I remember it didn't matter.
Then we moved into the '90s and like the late '90s, and I think that's where videos started to
not really be as huge anymore.
And you start thinking about, I still obviously I love the video for Everlong. It's so weird.
Oh, he's got like the giant hands.
The giant hands. And there have been some videos in our modern era that have truly like become like kind of milestones. One day I went and was like, I got to figure out what the big deal about this is, so I got to watch this video. So I watched the video for "Single Ladies" by Beyonce, and I'm like, wow, that is beautifully simplistic and mildly captivating. And not even just because it's like it's just so like it's like. Okay, I kind of get it. Actually, it's sort of like,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So, MTV's that's not what it was, but anyway, if you want to watch music videos, just go to YouTube.
Yeah, truly.
All right, so I guess what would you? So music talent shows like Star Search, and American Bandstand, kind of like the originals.
Yes, Star Search was definitely the original. I think American Bandstand was just like a performance show.
Well, it introduced new artists, I guess.
Oh, okay.
That's what I meant. So it wasn't like a amateur talent. It was introduced anyway. That was my bad. So
No,
like,
but I see what you're saying though.
I remember. I mean, like, I guess the biggest show, even it's still going on. I guess the creme de la creme, Mount Rushmore of music talent shows would be American Idol.
It's the one that started it.
It started it all, right? And it was like a reality show in a different way where people auditioned, they get yelled at.
They still had the drama.
They had to go through the cuts, and then at the end, I guess they were offered a record deal or something like that. Anyway, but
made Kelly Clarkson famous.
Yep.
I think she's the only one, really. But
oh, we got a poodle sighting behind me.
Oh, poodle sighting.
Stretching.
Oh,
and then we got The Voice, which is a big show. At least they don't. I guess my point is like, I don't know what my point is. How do you feel about these shows?
I don't know.
Right.
I don't want to be accused of music snobbery,
Right.
But as a part of me that's not,
well,
I don't necessarily love it.
Isn't it? It's weird to me that like you could go on a show and sing. I don't feel like, okay, look, singing, there's hard work involved. But like I think about like the bands going out and playing all the shitty clubs and really trying to find a break and da-da-da-da. And most of them don't even make it. You go on a show,
right?
And then like I just don't know if it's the same kind of hard work.
I guess that's kind of my issue with it. I mean, like I don't want to be accused of music snobbery and all, but I mean, it's like you didn't put. I mean, it's hard work, but you didn't put in the real work. You didn't.
Yeah.
You didn't go to the little clubs. You didn't play.
Send your mixtape out to the record executives.
End, how many people do that anymore?
I don't even know. So maybe if I send one in, they'd be like, "Oh, what is this?
What is this? Someone sent us a demo,
right?
Since 1909,
right? But it's just weird to me. Like, I just don't know if like I feel like it's manufactured.
That's all I've always felt about it. It's like it's manufacturing a pop star. That's exactly it. American Idol and The Voice and all of these others, they feel like they're trying to manufacture a pop star. And I mean, and I'll Stacey and I we'll tune into them on occasion and stare at it, and you get people like, well, you got a really good voice, no doubt. This person can definitely sing. They can sing far better than I'll ever be able to sing, but.
Well, it's very. I know that like, I think most of the people, it's geared towards like solo pop acts. Now I know Carrie Underwood, country star, but like they've allowed some people to bring in guitars, whatever. But like, I think Kelly Clarkson and Carrie Underwood are really only the two that have had sustaining power. I think Carrie Underwood is probably the biggest act of anybody to achieve success in all the shows of The Voice of American Idol, but there have been others that have
had some.
They're doing good, but like
they're doing all right. But
it's not. I think it's more geared towards like the pop side of music, non-offensive,
and it's also not geared towards creating someone who's going to have this infinite longevity.
Yeah,
part of that comes from not putting in the work.
And like, and one of the winners of. Oh, so then you get to like America's Got Talent, where singers have won that show. And one of the singers that won American Talent a few years ago was like a 14-year-old.
Right.
And I'm just like, really, a 14-year-old?
Yeah.
I guess I don't know, man. It was a girl. I think her name was something Vander something other.
Oh, yeah.
Her name. But like that was the best of the best of the best of the best. Like, I don't know. But who am I to talk about? But you know what? I'm somebody. I can talk about whatever I want, say what I want.
Talk about what I want to say what I want. I got opinions in their mind.
And it just seemed like, because I know on some of those shows, like, you got like a 6-year-old girl who can sing, making it to the finals. Like, come on, man. I don't know. Like, it's just.
I'll admit I kind of roll my eyes every time that happens. I go,
Right. I do wish there was a different way for artists to be able to get their music out there but not have to play all the opening acts of a shitty club at the worst time, or like, because record companies are really selective. But then you know what? They're also not, because there's a lot of stupid music that was allowed to be made in the 90s. You know what I mean? And in the 80s, and all that, they allow a lot of stupid stuff to be.
Down, and it gets up again, and it never got knocked.
Chumbawamba.
Chumbawamba.
There's a lot of idiot one-hit wonder music in the 90s too. But like, you know what song? You know a band I really don't like? Ace of Base. I'm throwing it out there. Ace of Base.
You're just gonna come out. You're gonna say it. I do not like that band.
But like I said before, it takes talent. Everyone's got talent. I'm not disrespecting that. I'm just saying. Anyway, so music talent shows, I just feel like it's corporate America. It's like today's version of corporate music. Yeah. You know, those bands like Styx and Journey, they accuse of being corporate rock in Boston, Kansas.
Rock. You know, what it is that we've reached a place in our digital era, our internet era, where people can there is, you know, they are looking to manufacture like the next big thing, but you know, there are avenues out there now, you know, for people to get their stuff out there, whether it be through Spotify or throwing it on YouTube.
You know what's crazy though?
For people to get noticed. So
here's the thing though. If you own your music and whatever, and then pay somebody a fee to create the record or whatever, or the digital version of it, and sell it, but you own it all, you don't have a record company, and you only sold 20,000 units, you're making more money than if you make a record deal and sell 1 million units.
Yeah.
So like there is something independent. I think hip hop artist Kendrick Lamar I don't know if he has yet, but I know at one point his 2 biggest albums that he's come out with, and he's independent, no record company. He's rolling in it because he's getting all the benefit. Like he pays his fees or whatever, but he's the guy.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. So like, if you're willing to have a smaller market of people buy your music, but you own it all, you can be successful financially, in the sense that like, I don't know, $10 a record. I only sold 20,000. That's $200,000. That's my money.
Right.
Rather, you know, then I got to sell 1 million to make 200,000.
Right. And then there's the fact that you're not, like, you know, the fact of the matter is these people on American Idol and The Voice and whatever, after, you know, that show is over, and let's say you win it, they own you.
Yeah.
They own you.
Yeah. Another thing, just a super side note, because now I feel like I'm in a ranting mood. I feel like the record company also wants to get the most out of you as they can, so that's why they really love going for younger artists.
Yeah,
they can squeeze every drop. But like, there's probably 35-year-olds out there, I mean, that are really good, but the record company weighs the cost benefit analysis, you know, whatever. So
you won't make us as much money in the long run,
right? But this 18-year-old who's got talent, we can wring every drop of blood.
We can auto tune that voice and throw in a couple of backing vocals.
That's another thing they need to stop. Auto tune. Get it right. If it takes you 700 takes, get it right.
Or you know what? Put it out there, not perfect.
Well, okay. That's speaking of which, you asked me about. I think we brought up Silverchair in one of our episodes, which I really like.
I think so. Yeah,
their 2002 album, Diorama, I think it's called. They have it in the booklet. They didn't use any auto-tune or anything like that. Mm-hmm. They played the best they could, and they released it. There was no post-production mixing, getting it right, doing 30 takes. And I thought that was like really, it was the first time I've ever seen something like that. Like, hey, we recorded this stuff the best we could, but we didn't have anybody go in and polish it up. And it sounds good, because if you're good at what you do, one, you think Billy Corgan needs 700 takes? No. I don't know what his production stuff is, but he does. I mean, Jimmy Chamberlain does the stuff, and then he's done with it, you know, because they're skilled enough to do it. But go ahead.
Well, even so, like I saw another YouTube guy who he like tends to analyze music and really analyze it at a far greater level than I can comprehend. but talking about the fact that digital mixing now that they use digital mixing and all this stuff and modify it, he says the beauty of some of the 90s rock and a lot of the 90s era music was that it's not perfect. It's not perfect. They do the takes, they get the takes they want, and even the takes they wanted and finally put down, well, they went down, and there was no you couldn't go back and modify. Okay, you know what? Your voice was. I mean, this is a great take, but your voice is a little cracky. Let's fix it. No, this is
Well,
a great
one, they
take.
did it on tape too,
Right?
which
Yeah,
cost way more money. Plus, these the bands would probably practice a lot of how they want to record it. That way, you go in and do it because it.
And so sometimes there are these little imperfections that pop up to like the train.
Yeah, it makes
ear,
it.
And he's like, and that's the beautiful part about it, because that's real. It's real music.
Yeah,
it's not.
Or like vocally, like I don't know, like whatever. So I'm sure I can think of a song, but like you hear it and they kind of mess up the vocals a little bit, or the words are too close, whatever it is, and you're like, huh? They just recorded it. It was good enough.
It was good enough.
It doesn't need to be this perfect recording, man.
That's the beauty of it. And I think, all of this coming back around to kind of what music has become through, and I think these music shows are just a part of it. Because, like you said, it's manufacturing music.
Well, speaking of that word, last rant. I really respect artists who write their own stuff, even if it's a four-piece band, but they all contribute, like the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Cool. I hate it when you have songwriters, outside songwriters, like if you look at the song credits of a song.
Oh, geez.
You got the main guy and the main band, but then you got 13 other people that contributed. I hate that. Or if you
look at like, for me, it's like if you look at like one of these one of these pop stars albums, and it's like you look at their last name, and then you look at who wrote the song, and it's like, and their name's not on there at all. And you're like, so basically what you're saying is you didn't write any of this, you just sing it.
Right. So there's something to be said about being able to actually write music as well.
Write your songs. Write your songs.
Write your own stuff.
Write your own stuff. And it comes from the heart.
Yep.
Even if it's stupid.
Well, I mean, you gotta keep doing it to get better at it, Anyway.
Exactly.
So that's about all the time we have for today, folks. We started off constructively, but we devolved into old men ranting. An old man and an older man ranting.
An old man and an older man ranting about young kids these days.
Which I guess our last episode of the season is music today. I guess we'll really get into it.
Oh God!
And next week when we talk about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. All right. Anyway,
nothing but just two old guys yelling. two old guys yell at clowns.
What are the Muppets? What are the Muppets guys that
Waldorf and Stanley,
whatever?
Stanley?
Maybe I don't know, but it would be those guys. All right.
Yeah, it's us.
All right. We'll see you next time for some more stuff to talk about. Bye.